Drink with James, episode 37. On location, we're in South Georgia here on Sea Island at the Cloister. We're here for the Southern Sea Conference. I'm speaking tomorrow, kind of doing a Drink with James live situation. But thought since we're down here that we would film one outside, which I think, is this our first one? Second one outside we've done, right? Second one. You know, the whiskey's just as good and the weather's even better. So look, it's, I don't know, 80 degrees here. So I packed everything linen that I owned. I've been wearing elevated hiking boots, which I have a soft spot for elevated hiking boots. Maybe Tim can put up both pairs that I recommend. I have a pair of Danners, which I love, that every human should own, and I have a pair of Montclairs that I just got that I absolutely adore. Elevated hiking boots are incredible, but I'm happy to be out of those and be in linen and penny loafers and no socks, and life is good. But, you know, I also think it's nice to be here because you guys see that sometimes my life is quite difficult. I know that sometimes you look at me and you think, oh, you seem to have a really nice life. You know, you're on the private plane with NetJets going down to Miami. It's not all fun and games, you know. As you can see, sometimes I too struggle and things are difficult, and I think I'm trying to be very honest about that so you guys don't get discouraged in your struggles. So just keep pushing through. The sun will come out tomorrow. So if you saw the For You, we actually talked a little bit about getting regrammed by brands as a great way to grow. But the question is perfect because the difference between if you're tagged in the photo and if you're in the comment is massive, right? And you think about it, if somebody has a comment about you, you know, check out Tim Jeffries wearing this Tom Brown shirt, he looks awesome, versus a photo of the shirt tagged Tim Jeffries. That comment does push you to make the photo be more about Tim and pushing you into his feed than if we just tagged him. So I totally understand the desire to be tagged in the comment, not just in the photo. I think this is really the relationship question. You have to ask yourself, do you have the relationship to be able to reach out to that brand and request that? Because let's say we're gonna use Tim here in Tom Brown because he loves it, as do I, as you know. Let's say Tim wears a Tom Brown shirt and he grams it and they regram it. Now let's say he has no relationship with them, right? They've just regrammed this photo that they love. And the first contact he has with the brand is reaching out in the DMs to say, hey, could you put me in the comment actually? That's gonna seem fairly, what's the word I'm looking for, that millennials are?
Presumptuous?
Not presumptuous, but it's gonna look like you think everything should come to you.
Entitled.
That's gonna look super entitled, right? They've just gone, they've taken one of your photos, they've sent it out to their tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of fans, and you reach out and you're like, oh, thanks for doing that. Could you also do this other thing for me? Now, if you have a relationship with that brand and you feel like you can ask on the sly, maybe email the person, you know, that runs their social and ask them as a favor, I would say do it. That's a call you have to make. The other thing is, if you're working with a brand for free and you negotiate that they put you in the comment. You know, negotiate not just that they regram the photo, but they mention you in the comment. And then certainly follow up if they don't do that, because that's just a contractual thing. Absolutely. So how do you go from free to paid? Very important. You know, there's a lot of people out there that say never give your stuff away for free. I actually don't believe that philosophy at all. I think a lot of times the best way to get the job is to do the job, you know? I mean, I'm talking about Tim a lot on this episode, which is rare, but you know, when Tim came in to interview at 4Card, part of his interview was he pitched a whole marketing plan on what he wanted to do. And something like Drink with James was part of it. So he actually just went ahead and did the work. I think that's really important. I think especially as you're starting out and trying to prove yourself to these brands, sometimes doing stuff for free totally makes sense. And I do think that you can transition from free to paid. I've done that with quite a few brands back when I was a photographer. I started shooting for them for free and I was able to transition. So I do think part of it is a relationship thing again, back to the same, back to the last question that we had. When that brand first reaches out to you, let's say they're like, hey, we want to send you this thing. post it if you want, whatever. You get it, you like it, you shoot it, you post it, they like it, they gram it. Okay, relationship's off to a good start, right? Let's say they do that again. They send you something, they're like, hey, or they say, hey, pick something out from our fall line if you like it, and we'll send it over. And you do that, right? You shoot it, you post it, they like it, they regram it, relationship's going well, you're growing. Let's say you've got 20,000 more followers than when you started. You feel like it's time for you to get paid. What's important is a lot of times what money does for brands is one, it obviously it guarantees payment. The other thing is it lets them control the message a little bit. So if they come at you and they say, okay, now we want you to post this specific piece, and can you mention these things about it and throw this hashtag on? That's a good time for you to transition that relationship into a paid one, because they're not just saying, hey, pick something out that you like and Instagram it if you want. They're saying, I specifically want you to talk about this piece in this way using this hashtag. That's something that should be paid, and you should be able to transition into something that's paid. Look, as you guys know, probably I shot for Tom Brown for years, and at the time I was probably charging $3,000 to $6,000 a day for my photography, and I never charged them. They weren't going to pay. You know, they were a fairly small brand. They put every cent they had back into the brand and growing it. And for me, it was an honor to work with someone like that. I think Tom Brown is a genius and an artist, and for me to just be a part of his world and be able to shoot for them. And granted, I was only shooting for them, 4 or 5 days a year probably total. But for me, that was an honor, and I never felt like I needed to charge them. I certainly have worked with other brands that I haven't charged, and I think that's just a personal call. I think never forget the people that took care of you when nobody else would. Those brands that worked with you before anyone else did. If your rate becomes $3,000 for an Instagram, and this brand that was the first brand to work with you, I would give them a deal. I would charge them quite a bit less, especially if they can't afford it and they took a chance on you. You should really work to pay that back and pay that forward to them. So yeah, I think it depends on, and if you want to do it, if you, again, for me, I wanted to shoot the Tom Brown show, so it wasn't about the money. And if you want to do something and you want to work with a certain brand and they aren't going to pay you, then you should do it. And you shouldn't feel like that's going to stop you from getting paid somewhere else. It's definitely not. The only way it's bad is if you don't want to do it or you feel a little bit of trepidation. I think one of my favorite things that has been said on the show by a guest was JC said, find your happy price, And if you take a collaboration that's unpaid or underpaid and you don't feel great about it, when you go to post that, you're going to feel even worse. It's going to be amplified 10x. So make sure that if you are feeling a little bit of trepidation, that you find that happy price, and that you are honest with yourself in not accepting things that don't hit that number for you. First of all, congratulations on your growth. That's awesome. We talk a lot about growth here on the show, and I think a lot of people feel frustrated that it feels like there's an influencer for everything in the world now. But I'm constantly amazed with new influencers who are growing really quickly and organically. It proves that there is always room for something new and something fresh and a new perspective. So first of all, congratulations. Tim will throw up the account of the young lady who asked this question. But the feed looks great, and congrats on the growth. Moving on. I think, we've talked about this before about the fact that a lot of top influencers have been doing this for 7 or 8 years, and I think if in your first year or 6 months you're not getting the brands that you want to work with, my response would be like, duh, of course you're not. You've been doing this for 6 months, and not to disparage what you've done, but it's going to take you probably years to be working with the brands. You need to, we've done this thing before where we talk about this whole sales cycle, which I'm now a whiskey in, so I probably can't totally remember, but I do remember one part of the cycle was validation, right? You need to validate yourself. There's 2 real easy ways to do it as an influencer. You validate yourself with your following, get it really big, or you validate yourself with the kinds of brands that you work with. So without that validation, those top brands, maybe that you really want to work with, they're taking too much of a risk on you, you know, because you either don't have the following or you don't have the clout with the kind of brands where they say, okay, she's worked with Nike, so now I'm Puma and I feel comfortable that Nike has basically vetted her, and I feel like I can work with her. So don't get discouraged. You know, I certainly encourage you not to work with brands that you don't like, that you don't feel like philosophically align with the person that you are. And if that's the case, if the only brands that are reaching out to you aren't the kind of brands you want to work with, don't work with them. You know, we've said all the time on this show, under 50K, I think the only thing you should care about is growth. And you shouldn't really care about making money. And you should be, if you don't like the brands that are reaching out, buy the brands that you do like and post about those. And keep your feed, you know, advertiser free until it gets big enough where those brands that you really want to work with you. And that's not such a bad thing to say that it's going to take me a year or 2 years to get there. Again, think about this as a normal career, because we believe it's a career and we believe these are businesses. You know, 4Card is, you know, coming up on 5 years old soon. You know, for us to be able to do the things that we did, it was years and years and years. And there's still so much that I want to do that I'm not capable of doing yet, because we don't have the clout or the money or the people or the resources or the, you know, position in the industry to do those things. And, you know, I need to be strategic about what we can and can't do. So don't feel too down about it. Understand you're on a road and you just got to keep walking and keep growing. So look, Tim and I are late for the cocktail party, even though we're having our own docktail party. Oh my God, that was fucking incredible. I need a moment with that one. I'm sorry. So full video of my talk that I'm giving tomorrow will be out next week. Look forward to that. The other thing we're really excited about, I don't know if you saw in our Insta stories, but we had Erica Hoyda from Fashion Chic Styling, one of the most consistent, beautiful, fastest growing accounts that we have on 4Card. She sits down for 30 minutes, drops knowledge on you, just bombs it all over your face. It's going to be amazing. Look out for that. Good? Peace.